Welcome back, everyone. Okay, let's just jump right in today. In this explainer, we're taking one of the absolute best, most perspective-shifting motivational speeches ever delivered, Denzel Washington's famous commencement address, and we're turning it into a visual journey. And to really bring this whole philosophy to life, we're following the journey of a very determined little stickman protagonist. We're going to watch him struggle, stumble, totally wipe out, and ultimately discover what it actually takes to succeed. This isn't just about getting a quick burst of inspiration, you know? It's about fundamentally rewiring how you look at failure. So let's get into it. Denzel anchors this entire philosophy on a really profound quote from Nelson Mandela. He said, "There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." Just picture our stickman stepping out of that tiny, cramped, super safe little box and into this massive, blank canvas of a world. It's risky out there, for sure. He's completely vulnerable. But Mandela and Denzel are challenging us right out of the gate here. Playing it safe might keep you comfortable, but it completely strips your life of passion. You just can't find greatness if you're settling for less.
All right, moving right into section 1. Don't fall back, fall forward.
Think back to when you were in school, right? Maybe you were picking your major or deciding on a career path. What is the classic, cautious advice literally every student gets? Make sure you have something to fall back on. I mean, it sounds so logical, doesn't it? Very practical. But Denzel completely flips this conventional wisdom on its head. If our stickman falls backwards onto a soft cushion, he's retreating blindly. He's giving up before he even lands. Denzel says, if I'm gonna fall, I don't want to fall back onto anything. I want to fall forward. Why? Because when he falls forward, his eyes are wide open. He says, at least this way, I'll see what I'm going to hit. It's a complete shift in posture. The falling isn't the problem, it's the direction you fall that actually matters.
To prove this, Denzel brings up that classic 9-dot IQ test. You know, the one where you have to draw 5 continuous lines through all 9 dots without lifting your pencil? Every single time our stickman tries to solve it while staying inside the imaginary square created by those dots, he hits a brick wall. The only way, literally the only way to solve it, is to risk drawing a line completely outside the conventional boundaries. You can't be afraid to think outside the box, you can't be afraid to dream big, and honestly, you can't be afraid to fail big to reach those dreams.
Which brings us to section 2, the hidden reality of success. So we just established that you have to step outside the box, right? But what actually happens when you do? Well, you usually fall flat on your face. Denzel wants to expose this massive illusion we have in our society, the hidden, failure-ridden reality of massive success. We see the gold trophies, but we never see the massive trash bin full of torn-up drafts. Take a huge number like 2,600. Our stickman is at home plate, just swinging and missing, swinging and missing. 2,600 times, that is the number of times the legendary Reggie Jackson struck out during his career. It's literally the most in the history of baseball. But here's the profound truth. Actually, think about this for a second. You don't hear about the strikeouts, do you? People only remember the home runs. Reggie Jackson had to endure the humiliation of falling forward 2,600 times just to become a legend. And you know, the numbers get even more staggering. 1,000. That is the number of failed experiments Thomas Edison conducted. Most people have no idea about that. Our stickman is sitting there in the dark, tossing busted light bulbs over his shoulder, one after another, feeling totally defeated, until, wait for it, the 1,001st attempt. That one was a light bulb. So, the crucial takeaway here is this. Every single failed experiment is simply one step closer to success. You just have to embrace this inevitability. You will fail at some point. You're gonna lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will downright suck at something. But every time our stickman falls and physically scrapes his knee, he is geographically closer to his ultimate goal. Failure isn't a detour from the path. It is the path.
Moving on to section 3, a 30-year audition. Now, Denzel isn't just preaching this from some high horse. He actually lived it. He shares this deeply personal anecdote about dealing with continuous, soul-crushing failure in the notoriously brutal acting business. Let's walk through this timeline with our stickman. Step 1. A young Denzel auditions for a Broadway musical. It's the absolute perfect role except for one tiny glaring detail. He absolutely cannot sing. He bombs it, completely doesn't get the job, but he doesn't fall back. Step 2. He prepares, he prays, and he goes to the next audition where he fails again and again. He operates on that old barbershop saying, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later, you're going to get a haircut. And then step 3, the payoff. 30 years later, Denzel wins a Tony Award for the play Fences on Broadway. And the kicker? It was at the Court Theater, the exact same theater where he bombed that singing audition 3 decades prior. Wow.
This brings us to Denzel's repeating mantra. Really let this sink in. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. He actually says it twice in the speech to make sure you hear it. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. A lack of failure isn't proof of perfection, guys. It is absolute proof of a lack of effort. Our stickman only stays standing perfectly still when he completely refuses to walk.
Okay, section 4, the ghosts of unfulfilled potential. Now brace yourselves because this is probably the most striking metaphor in this entire philosophy. Imagine you're on your deathbed. Our stickman is lying there, completely out of time, but he's not alone. Standing all around his bed are ghosts. Not literal ghosts, but the ghosts of his unfulfilled potential. The ghosts of the ideas he never acted on. The ghosts of the talents he never used because he was just too afraid to fail. And they are standing there angry. They're disappointed. They look right at him and say, "We came to you because you could have brought us to life, and now we have to go to the grave together." So I have to ask you right now, as you're taking in this explainer, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes?
Which leads us to section 5, figuring out where you're going.
That thought about the ghosts is incredibly heavy, I know, but it leads us beautifully into our final concept. We've talked a lot about enduring failure, but here's the secret. Failure is actually the best compass you have to figure out where you are going. Look at Denzel's totally erratic path at Fordham University. Our stickman starts out as a freshman in pre-med. He takes this class called cardiac morphogenesis. He can't read it, he can't say it, and he definitely can't pass it. So he just stumbles over to pre-law as a sophomore, then journalism as a junior. With absolutely zero academic focus, his grades plummet. By age 20, he hits a 1.8 GPA, and the university politely suggests he take some time off. He literally failed out. He is at his absolute lowest point. But you know what? That rock bottom was actually a foundation. On March 27, 1975, while he was helping out in his mother's beauty shop in Mount Vernon, this truly miraculous turning point happens. An older woman in the shop just keeps staring at him through the mirror. Finally, from under the hairdryer, she gives him this spiritual prophecy. She tells this 20-year-old college dropout, "You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people." I mean, it sounded impossible, but years later, he did exactly that. He spoke to millions through his movies, connecting with people he couldn't physically see, but deeply impacting them all the same. His utter failure in medicine and law is exactly what steered him to his true calling. And that brings us right back to your calling. Denzel notes that from his travels in South Africa to the streets of Philadelphia, the world is in desperate need, and it needs you. Maybe your gift is business, theology, nursing, or sociology. Or maybe it's not a profession at all. Maybe your gift is simply patience, kindness, or the ability to endure long suffering. Whatever your specific, unique gift is, you have to get out there and give it everything you've got. Which leaves us with this final echoing question. What are you going to do with what you have? And I'm not talking about how much you have, but what you will do with the unique talents, time, and treasures you currently possess. Are you going to keep them locked away in a small safe box? Or will you take a risk, step out into the unknown, like our stickman, embrace all those inevitable missteps, and boldly fall forward? The world is waiting to see what you hit. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.